You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Give ear, my people, incline your ears to my words. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which ye have not heard, nor have known. We will not hide it from our children, showing the truth to each generation, to praise the Lord and His strength and His wonderful works. For He established a testimony and a law appointed for Israel, which He hath commanded our fathers to make them known to the children, that they may set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep His commandments. That they may set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep His commandments. That they may set their hope in God and not forget the works
Israel, sons of God. Israel at one time. A time to get up out of this place. Check it, check it. We are fighting.
Let the high praises of God be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. We are fighting for the Most High. We are fighting for the truth. Live for the truth. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord.
Into the fight marching, and we are fighting, and we are rising in this uprising.
Our Lord is a man of war. The prophet's back in store. We got the two-edged sword. The haters on the floor. We living here for God. The kingdom here is ours. Don't need a round of applause. We right and shut it down. Bringing out the laws. We see the demons fall. Think not that I came to bring peace. No, we coming with the sword, avenging all the blood for the fall of Babylon. Tick-tock, swing the pendulum. Time short like the 12 on the bezel. Bibles like the soup with the medicine. Lace up my boots, wartime regiment. God's wrath gonna blast on my enemies. God's wrath gonna blast on my enemies. Living on till the kingdom come. Vengeance belongeth unto the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord.
Bible in a hand, it's a spiritual warfare. Up on the land, saving life is the plan. Not by might or strength, but the Most High and Israel spiritually blinded. So the word leave them cut and dumbfounded. Then it is, it won't leave you wounded. Humble yourself, don't be high-minded. But Israel, don't get it twisted. Above our nations, the Most High said, last a good thing when we made our bed, but coming back is why the Messiah played. So much pain, I'm ready for the laughter. So I'm fine for the after. Israel, let's come back to the order. Got to return to the Father. Into the fight marching, and we are fighting, and we are rising in this uprising.
Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. We all on one accord. We fighting for your soul. We fighting for the Lord.
Israel. Yeah, we're the difference in this fight. We're the chosen, greatest people on earth. Yeah, Israel. Come back to the Most High. Yeah. Chosen.
Thank you for choosing the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. At this time, we're going to have another great episode talking about Black history in the Bible. Black history in the Bible. For those of you that don't know, we have a podcast available on Spotify where we talk about this. It's the Forefront Radio, available also on other platforms. We're part of a 30-day challenge of content creators giving you content to listen to over the month of October. Since we're talking about the month October, we are going to dedicate this episode to the murder of Laquan McDonald. Laquan McDonald was a young black man, a young Israelite man, that was murdered by the police. The murder took place on October the 20th, 2014 in Chicago, Illinois. McDonald was a 17-year-old black male who was fatally shot and killed by a European Chicago police officer named Jason Van Dyck. So police had initially reported that Mcdonald was behaving erratically while walking down the street, refusing to put down an alleged knife that he was carrying, supposedly. Preliminary internal police reports described the incident similarly, leading to the incident being judged as a, quote, justifiable shooting, and to Van Dyck not being charged at the time. So they basically falsified a report, falsified information, and afterwards, when a court ordered the police to release dash cam video of the shooting 13 months later, a full year later, on November the 24th, 2015, it showed that Mcdonald had been walking away from the police when he was shot 16 times. The same day, Officer Van Dyck was charged with first-degree murder and initially held without bail at the Cook County Jail, so they held him. But then afterwards mysteriously released him on bail on November the 30th, so he was only locked up for 6 days. The city finally reached a settlement with the Mcdonald family on October the 5th of 2018, 4 years later. Van Dyck was found guilty of second-degree murder as well as 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. So this week's episode is going to be dedicated to this young man who lost his life by a public servant that has qualified immunity up until evidence comes forth that they lied. So in our last episode, we talked about Black history in the Bible, part 1 and part 2. We showed color scriptures in the Bible, verifying that the blacks of the Bible are really the Israelites of the Bible, the tribe of Judah. We showed various references to Jesus Christ's skin being so dark it looked like it was burnt in a furnace. We also showed various history in regards to King Solomon, Job, Jeremiah, the tribe of Judah, and that was in the first episode. And then in the second episode, we talked about showing proof how the ancient Egyptians and the Israelites were the same complexion, meaning black. They were brown people, they were black people. And then comparing them also to their brothers, the Hamitic brothers, the Ethiopians. We know that the Ethiopians are black, and the scripture says that can an Ethiopian change their skin? No, they cannot. In the same way, it says in the book of Amos that the children of Israel were compared to children of Ethiopians to the Most High. So now we're going to go into another part of this segment that talks about now the actual historical record, what happened during slavery, and how this proves that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are literally in the Bible, that the Bible is your photo album, as you will. The reason why we went into the curse of the generational curse of slavery was because our ancestors had a covenant with the Creator. Our ancestors broke the covenant with the Creator because we were created to be kings and priests of the earth. That was our divine purpose. But since our ancestors neglected their purpose, we in turn went into suffering generational curses that happen to this day. An example of this is in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, where it says this: "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old path, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein." So it goes to show you that the Creator already set forth ancient ways for us to walk, the old paths, which are the ways of the Bible. Many black folks say, I don't want nothing to do with that Bible. That's old ways. I don't want to. We living in a new time. But this new time has not benefited us. The old ways of morality benefited us more so than the wickedness that happens today. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 26. "O daughter of my people, gird thee with sackcloth, and wallow thyself in ashes. Make thee mourning as for an only son, most bitter lamentation, for the spoiler shall suddenly come upon us. So Jeremiah proclaimed for us to mourn because the spoiler, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Edomites, America, would come against us and destroy us as a nation of people. Did that happen to us? Yes, it did. Watch this. I have set thee for a tower and a fortress among my people, that thou mayest know and try their ways. Verse 28. They are all grievous revolters, walking in slanders. They are brass and iron. They are all corrupters. So the scriptures are saying that our people are so rebellious that they're like brass and iron, that they will hear this information, verify it to be true, but still decide to reject it because they are corrupters. Verse 29. The bellows are burned, the lead is consumed of the fire, the founder melteth in vain, for the wicked are not plucked away. Reprobate silver shall men call them, because the Lord hath rejected them. So how did the Most High reject us, a nation of people? He allowed us to go into slavery. He allowed us to be forgotten as a nation of people. Now we call ourselves black. Now we call ourselves Mexican. Now we call ourselves Haitian, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, African American. All these titles that was given to us by our oppressors. We were rejected by the Most High and not called Israel anymore, but called all these proverbs and bywords. Why? Why is it that we suffer such atrocities? In Jeremiah chapter 7, it tells us why. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 5. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and a widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. You see, we walked after the ways of the other nations. We followed the pagan customs of society, even now to this day. We follow the ways of all the other nations except our own. We don't follow the ways of this Bible. We follow Christmas, Easter, and all types of paganism. Okay? Then it says, then I will cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Verse 8, behold, ye trust in lying words that cannot profit. We as a nation of people trust in liars. We trust in these politicians to help us, which is in vain. We trust in these religious hypocrites, which is in vain. We trust in scientific foolishness, which is in vain, when in reality, all these things have morally corrupted us, spiritually corrupted us, intellectually corrupted us, politically corrupted us, where we follow after things that do not profit us at all. Watch this, verse 9. Will you steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom ye know not, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Isn't this the case? We believe in white Jesus, so we could do whatever the hell we want. We could sin and continue doing evil with no recompense. This is why we keep falling into deception after deception, because we accepted the first lie. The first lie came from the Roman Catholic system when they put us into slavery and captivity. They are the ones that taught us a different Jesus that is not sustained by Holy Writ. They are the ones that told us that Christ was a Caucasian male, when we ourselves know that the Bible talks about false Christs and false prophets, and that the true Christ of the Bible has black skin, brown skin, and woolly hair like a Negro. Watch this. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 4. For if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus, whom ye have not preached, or if ye have received another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him. So, have we followed after another Jesus, another Christ? You better believe it. The image of Caesar Borgia, the Caucasian image that are in all of your churches, because modern Christianity gets its information directly from the Catholic Church, that image is an image of one of the Pope's son, Caesar Borgia. Okay, you can look it up. Caesar Borgia was the son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome. This was during the 1400s and the 1600s when the black Jews were kicked out of Europe, sent into West Africa, and later on there was a papal bull where a law was passed for them to put us in slavery. Okay? So now, we are going to prove to you today that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the lost tribes of Israel, not according to the forefront's opinion, but biblical and historical fact. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68 explores the generational curses that would happen to the children of Israel for breaking the covenant, for breaking the commandments of the Creator. Watch this. Did you know that slave ships are written of in the Bible? Watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Actually, we'll read verse 15 first, and then we'll read verse 68. It says this, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Here's an example of generational curses that happen to our people. Verse 68, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, with ships, with ships." When we first went into Egypt, Egypt was the place of servitude. Egypt was the place of slavery. Egypt, according to Exodus 20, verse 2, is the house of bondage. What is bondage? Captivity. What is captivity? Slavery. Now watch this. "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt," or slavery, again with ships, with ships. "By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again," meaning we would not see our homeland again. Jerusalem is our motherland. Northeast Africa, the panhandle of Northeast Africa, not the Middle East, Northeast Africa was our motherland. And we have not seen it since we've been in slavery. As a whole, as a nation of people, we have not been back in Northeast Africa. "And there," meaning once you got off those ships, "you shall be sold, you shall be sold, you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen," which is slave men, "and bondwomen," slave women, "and no man shall buy you." What does that mean? No man is going to save you from the conditions that you're in. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29 substantiates that. "And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee." Has America spoiled us and destroyed us? Yes. Has America and other nations like the French spoiled us and destroyed us? Yes. Has any man come and saved us? No. Has anyone given us reparations for what we suffered? No. The amount of atrocities and war crimes that have happened to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, we have never received just recompense for that. But guess what? There is a God. Watch this. Remember, the Bible said that we were sold to our enemies. So now we're going to look in the Bible for another Bible verse that tells us who we were sold to. Joel chapter 3 verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. The children of Judah are the so-called blacks. The children of Jerusalem are the remaining tribes of Israel. Benjamin, Levi, Naphtali, Issachar, Ephraim. Okay? These black, Hispanic, and Native Americans were sold to the Greeks. Who are the Greeks? The Greeks are the so-called Caucasian races. The Greco-Roman Empire. The Greco-Roman Empire is an extension that have extended all the way to Europe and to now the Americas. Specifically the United States of America, which is the seat of Roman military prominence in these last days. So, the scriptures tells us here that we went into slavery in slave ships, and it also specifies that we were sold by the Arabs and the Hamitic nations to the Greeks. Who are the Greeks? The so-called white man. This is your black history in the Bible. This is your history according to the Bible. And we have many more evidences to prove that. Even Jesus Christ himself prophesied of us going into slavery. And I'll read that briefly. In Luke chapter 21, it talks about us losing our homeland in Northeast Africa, Jerusalem, to the Greco-Romans. And not only that, their military would come against us in 70 AD, but then Christ himself said that we would be scattered into all nations and led away into captivity. So Luke chapter 21 and verse 24 says this, and they, referring to the Hebrews, shall fall by the edge of the sword, meaning by war, we are prisoners of war, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, the Greeks, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So those people right now that call themselves Jewish are really Greeks that have taken the mantle of being called Jewish. They wish they were a Jew, but they're not true Hebrews according to the Bible. According to a book that I have called The Chosen Caucasians by Michael Bradley, that he writes how this whole notion of Jewish people being the chosen people is a lie, because none of the things such as the yarmulkes, the long robes, and the curly locks that they wear, none of these can be found traced to the biblical lineage of the Hebrews. But we just read several texts of scripture showing and proving slave ships in the Bible, proving blacks in the Bible, proving that we are the people of the slave trade, of colonialism, of slavery, and oppression. Okay, and we have not been restituted for our oppression, when in fact the United States of America decides to give billions upon billions of dollars each year to the Israelis, the people of Polish, Danish, Swedish, and other European, Germanic, Greco-Roman, Edomite lineage. Okay, so we are the ones that have been the ones oppressed. We are the ones that were put into slavery, forced to work in all nations. During our oppression, we were forced to work in all nations. And not only that, when we worked, we did not get paid any wages. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 22 and verse 13. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. So now the question remains, were we forced to labor without wages? Were we forced to build houses and farms and plantations without wages? You better believe it. What are we reading? The Bible. What are we proving? Black history in the Bible. We'll get more specific if that doesn't relate to you. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. So what is that telling us? We're going to have women that are our wives, and another race of men is going to take our wives and ravish them. This happened during slavery. You can watch the movie 12 Years a Slave, Amistad, Roots, and other references for that matter. Did we not, as a nation of people, on the plantations of Haiti, on the plantations of Jamaica, on the plantations of Virginia, on the plantations of North Carolina, on the plantations of Florida, did we not set up and build plantations and vineyards all across the land of the Americas and not gather the fruit thereof? The grapes, the sugar cane, the rice, the cotton, the coffee, the sugar. All these industries that are billion-dollar industries now to this day, we have not received just recompense for that. Think about it for a second. America knows if they give us reparations, they would owe us trillions upon trillions of dollars, as well as their children working for us for at least 1,000 years, at least a minimum, okay? Because they have been a thorn on our side since the time of the Greeks. And even before that, during the time of the Babylonians, when the Babylonians went into Jerusalem, the Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, when our buildings and our temples were being burnt to the ground, they were cheering the Babylonian Ethiopians on. They were helping them to destroy our temples and our places of worship and our own universities. They burnt our books, and then when they weren't able to burn our books, they in turn took our documents and imprinted themselves in our books. They laid open the book of our laws and put the likeness of their images therein, which is called iconoclasm, which is why you think that Jesus is white, which is why you think that God is white, which is why you think the angels are white. Everything in the Bible is white. But when you actually read the Bible, like Song of Solomon chapter 1 verse 5, it says, I am black but comely, which is where we get the phrase, I am black but beautiful. All praises to the Most High. So these signs, these generational curses are not meant to destroy us. These are meant to wake us up to black history in the Bible. So now that we know this information, what should we do? Now that we know this information, what can we do to fix it for our people? Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? We have to ask ourselves, what does the Creator want of us now? Now that we know this information, now that we know that our photo album, our precious records, is the same book that they tried to burn, the same book that we were forbidden to read and write from, the same very book that they tried to use to enslave us was actually the book of our redemption, of our salvation, of our purity. What does God require of us? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes which I command thee this day for thy good. For thy good. So what should we do as a nation of people? We should return back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not preaching religion to you. I'm telling you to return back to your culture, return back to your history, return back to your native tongue of who you are. Your people are the people of the book. Your native language is Hebrew. Your cultural habits are the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. When Moses came on Mount Sinai, he did not give us modern-day religion. He did not give us Judaism. He did not give us Islam. He did not give us Christianity. He did not give us witchcraft and voodoo. He did not give us Hinduism. He did not give us Buddhism. Now, I'm not speaking against these world traditions. Although they're drenched in paganism, I'm not going to speak against them. I'm going to tell you that that's not your culture. Your culture is the Bible, the laws pertaining to you as a nation of people. That's what God wanted us to keep from the origin, from the beginning, the book of the law. That is what I'm telling you. If you love the Most High, if you love Christ, if you love your neighbor as yourself, you're going to do what this Bible says. Meaning what? Because I love God now, I'm not going to steal another man's wife. That's thou shalt not commit adultery. Because I love God and I love my brothers, I'm not going to rob and steal from them. I'm going to get a job or be an entrepreneur and work and take care of my own. Because I love the Most High, I'm not going to covet what doesn't belong to me. I'm going to be satisfied until the Most High brings me to a higher position. Same for you. What does God require of us as a nation of people? Fight and resist against the powers that be. Fight and resist against the mental manipulation and oppression that we have suffered from for centuries. Fight against the oppression. Fight against the spiritual domination that have been placed upon you, and embrace now the truth. Because remember what Jesus Christ himself said, the Black Messiah. You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us also on Stitcher, on Good Posts, I think it's called, and other platforms. On Instagram, it is the Forefront Express. On Facebook, it is the Forefront Media. And we appreciate all listeners listening to our 30 days of content creators of color, providing you with this information. So thank you for joining us today.
These brothers don't know the Bible.
To whom pertaineth
To what?
To whom pertaineth
Entertainment.
Bring it out.
Belongs to.
the adoption and the glory
And the glory.
and the covenant.
Look, why you waiting? They brain gone like decapitation. No knowledge, no laws, God, they forsaken. Put on slave ships, not a cruise line, Jacob. No martinis for that long trip, stop playing. They change our name with hot flames branded on our faces. Throw our kids in dirty water, alligator baiting. 100 million dead people, blood on the pavement. You say Jesus, but I'm looking at these crackers like they saying, nigga playing. They paying for their crimes, calling statute limitations. They saying that it ain't them, that it was their fathers. Isaiah 14 say prepare them for their slaughter. This for Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner. Babylon falling, fire burning arson. Christ coming back, real black like it's charcoal. Burning up these heathen for the evils that they conjured.
It's for us, our eyes have yet failed, for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation they couldn't save us. They slay us and get off free like they made us. But I switch the game up, the Black Messiah
Look,
can save us.
I ain't finished. Esau soon will be diminished. Mount of Zion full of saviors, call them God's children. 144, Esau about to be a victim. Keep the laws, then we get them on the day of vengeance. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? Esau running for their life like it's LA Fitness. Revelation 18:6, double portion with them. Try to hide the caves, but they screaming, let's get them. He that leader with
with the sword, gonna die by the sword. They gon' be surprised, Black Christ coming here for war. They ain't heard this before. No more nice Negroes, time for real heroes. Esau be zero, just like Nat Turner. Turn me up, we gone. Turn me up, we gone. And I'm out, Israelite.
Now he's mad about the way we're teaching the Bible.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
For us, our eyes have yet failed, for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation they couldn't save us. They slay us and get off free like they made us. But I switch the game up, the Black Messiah can save
Never
us.
trust my enemies, I know what you did to me. Locked and loaded KJV, Revelations 1 and 3. Reading through these mysteries, our praises, now we got the keys. Unlocking hope and giving hope to those that seek the Holy Ghost. My holy folks gon' hold me down, exhorting on a daily basis. Prepare for temptation, crafty counsel just around the way. Snooze, you lose, you snooze, awaken, oh ye slugger. I see brothers killing brother, ministers, women raising monsters. That's why we crying loud on you busters. Scripting, ripping through the trenches in the seas of the ghetto. My people at a lower state, the prophets here to motivate. Isaiah 61 and 1, grinding up these broken hearts, reform them till they make it.
Judah.
Heaven is right here with you. Heaven is right here with you.
Yeah.
Heaven is right here with you.
Okay.
Heaven is right here with you.
I'ma speak to him. Yo, the
Purchase
preacher.
your tracks today.
Everything written. It's written for learning. Would you gon' believe it? What a God only false prophet. Yeah.
Another one.
Know your history. Yeah. Know what you're saying to me. Same people like D can't teach you about godly. Never trust, never trust, never trust. A system that will always be broken. Cause they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us. Yeah, they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us.
Comes down, so does their understanding. Whether it's Christ, bright light, or the one commandment. Our eyes water for the horror sure have caused wealth. They yet fail, plus we're caught up wanting vain help. We lost hope, our shepherds soft spoke. They scoff quotes, misinterpreting in soft cloaks. Off scope, with reproach and they exhaust dopes. Somebody tell a modern Christian that their cross broke. Of whom do their households take counsel? What amounts when the counts mount doubtful? Why they cover with the coverings of other things? They love sin and will discover it ain't of the king. The plan was basic for the band who once had rain plantations. Tell them man is glamorous and man is handsome naked. Plant their hatred, cancel patience, amputate their nation. The clan that ran the races handed famous lamentations.
Everything written. It's written for learning. Would you gon' believe it? What a God only false prophet. Yeah. Know your history. Yeah. Know what you're saying to me. Same people like D can't teach you about godly. Never trust, never trust, never trust. A system that will always be broken. Cause they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us. Yeah, they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us. Never trust, never trust, never trust. A system that will always be broken. cause they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us. Yeah, they hate, cause they hate, cause they Lord, I'm yearning, pages be turning, flipping through scriptures, comfort I'm searching, things before time written for learning, patiently waiting, salvation I'm searching, Bible I'm burning, sinners gon' purge them, take away oppression like a dream turning, better wake up, high time that you're learning, black man coming like a boogie when you owe him, 4th of July, Christmas is lies, Easter is lies, pagan surprise, proof in the pudding, religion is doodoo, is worse than a voodoo, criminal Zulu, better realize that Christ ain't white, all these lives gonna die, for the laws that they despise, Forrest Gump gonna die, trumped up charges, basking in barges, basking in robbers, 31 flavors and targets, lamentations, we waiting in vain for a nation that got problems to solve them, absolve them, Washington guy, we on the rise, they in decline, honoring cycle, they got the nerve to swear on the Bible, right? Never trust, never trust, never trust. A system that will always be broken. Cause they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us. Yeah, they hate, cause they hate, cause they hate us.
Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. We now have a Cash App. The link is in the description of the page here on anchor.fm, also on Spotify. We appreciate you listening in. We do have a few features that we are including now. We are selling a few products such as watches, perfumes, colognes, and other products will be available for our Israelite community as well as the general community of the population. We have a Facebook page. Just type in the Forefront Media and you'll be able to get updates of various shows that we drop when they do drop. Please do share this show if you like the show, and we do hope that you do love this show. And tune in for more episodes once we have them available. Thank you for listening to The Forefront. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel.